It's been over a decade since I last set foot in room 213, but I can't stop thinking about it. The memories of what happened there still haunt me every night. I'm only writing this because I need to express my feelings and warn you and everyone else about what happened. It all started in college, back when I was young, stupid, and thought the world was just a playground. I was in a room with my best friend Ethan. Ethan was the kind of guy who could make you laugh at anything. We were inseparable, more like brothers than friends. However, Dean was there. Dean was strange, a quiet, oddball kid who kept to himself and hardly talked to anyone. He was our roommate, and although he was often the butt of our jokes, I never thought we were mean. That is, until the situation escalated beyond our control. Dean became fascinated with werewolves. He was obsessed with them, reading books, watching movies, and constantly talking about them. Posters of howling wolves and strange, cryptic drawings plastered his side of the room. At first, Ethan and I found it amusing, but soon we realized how much Dean's obsession consumed him, and that made him an even bigger target for our pranks. Ethan and I loved to mess with people, and Dean was an effortless mark. We started with little things, making wolf-like growls outside his door at night or leaving claw marks on his notebooks. Dean would get so worked up, pacing around his room and muttering to himself, his eyes wide with fear. It started out funny, but Ethan wanted more. Ethan's plan was simple but cruel. He decided to stage a full-on werewolf scare. We made fake claw marks on Dean's door, left fur around his bed, and splattered fake blood on the windowsill. Dean was visibly shaken, more so than we had ever seen him. His pale face and shaking hands were almost enough to make me call it off, but Ethan convinced me it was just harmless fun. The final prank was Ethan's masterpiece. He ordered a realistic werewolf costume online and planned to sneak into Dean's room in the middle of the night, pretending to be a werewolf stalking him. He woke me up at 3 a.m., his face lit up with excitement. "Come on, this is going to be epic," he whispered. We snuck into Dean's room. He was asleep, his face pale and his body tense even when resting. Ethan put on the werewolf costume and crouched at the end of Dean's bed. I could barely contain my laughter as I watched, but a part of me felt uneasy. Dean woke up with a startle. His eyes went wide with terror as he saw the werewolf looming over him. He tried to scream, but Ethan pounced, pressing a pillow over Dean's face to muffle him. I remember the struggle, the muffled cries, the look of sheer panic in Dean's eyes. "Stop, Ethan! This is too much!" I yelled, trying to pull Ethan away, but he was too caught up in his own thrill to listen. Then Dean stopped moving. Ethan released the pillow, and we both stared at Dean's still body. His face was ashen, his eyes open but unseeing. "What did you do?" I whispered, my voice shaking with fear. Ethan looked horrified. "I didn't mean to." We attempted to awaken Dean, but he had vanished. Cold, lifeless. Panic set in. We couldn't call for help. We'd be accused of murder. We did the unthinkable. We carried Dean's body to the dorm's old unused basement, where no one ever went. We found an abandoned locker and shoved his body inside, locking it up. I threw the key into the sewage drain outside, hoping to bury our secret forever. No one found Dean for weeks. When they did, the smell gave him away. The police came and we lied, saying we had no idea where Dean had gone. The coroner ruled it an accidental death due to a fall. Dean had a history of sleepwalking, they said, but Ethan and I knew the truth. We tried to move on, but guilt hung over us like a dark cloud. Ethan became paranoid, always looking over his shoulder. One night he woke me up, pale and trembling. "He's here," he whispered. "Dean, he's back." I told Ethan that he was being ridiculous and that it was just his guilt messing with his head. But soon I started noticing things too. Scratches on the walls, shadows moving in the corners of my eyes. A week later, I found Ethan's body hanging from the ceiling fan in our room, his face twisted in fear. He had scratched a message into the wall before he died. "He's coming." After Ethan's death, I tried to forget, trying to convince myself it was all in my head. But Dean wouldn't let me. I whip around, my heart hammering in my chest, just in time to see a monstrous figure leap out of the shadows. Fur covered, teeth bared, and eyes glowing with rage. Before I can react, its razor-sharp teeth sink into my leg. The room goes dark as I realize the horrifying truth. It's D,